Hello and welcome to the official Haters Euro 2024 Daily Show. I'm your host, Aaron Goldstein, and today the boys are back in town. I'm joined by Freddie Walker and Nina Hristova as we look over yesterday's action and ahead to all the conclusions of match day 3. A reminder, we're live every day of the tournament at 1 p.m, bringing exclusive interviews, training clips, and reports from our team on the ground in Germany. Yesterday, I'm pretty sure we saw one of the greatest performances of all time. Have you ever seen a goalkeeper have a game like that?
Not for a very, very long time. That was one of the best performances in goal I've seen. He kept Georgia in the game massively. The only one that could possibly stand out in my head is De Gea for Man United against Arsenal in 2017, where he broke the Premier League record for saves with 14 saves in a single match. That would be the only one that I could think of that could compete with it.
Nina, anyone for you?
Well, firstly, I agree that Georgia's keeper was absolutely outstanding. And, there's that saying that your goalkeeper is half your team. I think he embodied that yesterday because it easily could have gone the other way as well. But to think of spectacular goalkeeping performances, I think Thibaut Courtois, Champions League final against Liverpool, for me, comes pretty close. I mean, that was phenomenal. He had about 9 key saves in that game. I think it's the most saves in a Champions League final as well. And talk about frustrating Liverpool, but he was pretty up there.
Well, Haters have partnered with SofaScore for the Euros, getting us all the best stats, and I've done my research. So in that match that you referenced, David De Gea against Arsenal, which was one of the great Premier League performances, he got a 9.1. For you, Thibaut Courtois, Champions League final, he was immense. He got a 9.5. But let's see what the man was given yesterday. The main man in goal for Georgia, he got a 9.8. Mamardashvili, I hope I'm saying your name right. I'm really sorry if I'm not. 11 saves, 6 from inside the box, 5 from out, 5 high claims. He was absolutely crazy. There was a disallowed goal earlier on in the game that came from him making a ridiculous save and it hitting then handball of the Czech Republic player. I don't think we will ever see a performance like that on the international stage. 9.8, as I said. It's the best of anyone at the Euros so far this summer. No one's going to top that. However, there was a moment away from the goalkeeper right at the end of the game where the football world held their breath as Georgia had a chance to cause carnage. And he just absolutely fluffed it. Do you think the moment just got to him?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he just skied it. I mean, the shot wasn't even on target, but it's just one of those moments where it changes everything if that goes in. And I'm sure he's kicking himself in the teeth with that.
Yeah, it's pretty devastating. That was his moment and he completely bottled it. And referring to the goalkeeper, that's what he'd worked the whole game for, keeping them in the game so that they could nick it at the end and take home in 3 points. That man could have had the keys to his hometown, whatever. And I'm sure he's pretty devastated about it.
It's mad because at the last Euros, Patrick Schick scored the goal the furthest out. He scored that ridiculous strike against Scotland. He scored the goal yesterday against Georgia, which is probably the shortest goal at the Euros so far this summer. And I don't think we'll get anything closer than, what was it, bang on the line. That game finished 1-1, which took us into Portugal versus Turkey. The winners knew that if they were to win, they were guaranteed to top the group. And Portugal came to play. Freddie.
Yeah, big time. They were incredible, Portugal. I thought that they'd be way too strong for Turkey. As historically, they had been in the Euros. They played 3 times and Turkey had lost all 3 and never scored. And that's now 4 times and they've never scored. Bernardo Silva, what a finish. Lovely goal. And then came just an absolutely horrible goal for Turkey. That own goal was absolutely horrendous. Don't ever want to see that again, really. It was.
Is that the worst own goal you've ever seen?
It was horrific. It was horrific. And then he came off injured as well. So I thought, how unlucky do you get as a footballer? That must be like pretty much up there. But it was shocking. I think it's one of those moments where I think he didn't expect goalkeeper was off his line. I didn't think he quite anticipated where Cristiano Ronaldo was in that moment as well. And it was a very careless defensive error, though, I must say.
I mean, because the game had no real meaning to me personally. I love watching own goals. I think they're so funny. Reminds me of that. There was the clip a couple of years ago. Arsenal played pre-season friendly, and Arsenal pass it back, and the camera goes on to Maitland-Niles. Who told him to come off his line, bro?
Yeah, it's amazing. One of the best videos.
It's a great video. I think it's probably one of my favorite own goals. The ones that come to mind for me, another Arsenal one, Jenkinson, pre-season against Cologne, way back when, and Virginie in that 8-0 Southampton-Sunderland game. Brilliant own goals. You mentioned Cristiano Ronaldo, and I'm pretty sure that everybody thinks I'm a Cristiano Ronaldo fanboy. Throughout his career, he's been ridiculed for being selfish, but he wasn't for that last goal, was he?
No.
Fantastic. SofaScore have been really, really, really amazing with all of his stats throughout the tournament for everybody. 90 minutes played for him. He got that key assist, 4 shots for him, 1 big chance missed, but, they happen. Sorry, Cristiano. 3 key passes and a rating of 7.7, proving the doubters wrong, wouldn't you say, Nina?
Oh, yes, I think so. And I'm firmly with you. I'm not Cristiano Ronaldo's biggest fan, but I do think that he's made a statement for himself now at this tournament. There was a lot of questions following the first game whether Cristiano Ronaldo should be dropped. I think yesterday's performance reinforces that he shouldn't. And I think it's so much more than the footballing ability now as well. I think Ronaldo's really important for the team morale in the dressing room, and settling in the youngsters that are now sort of coming up into the ranks of Portugal's national team. And not just that, you say you got an assist, easily could have gotten a goal as well. And Ronaldo's just very as experienced as they get really at these European stages. So I think he's going to be really important for Portugal moving forward.
Well, it's mad because Ronaldo, you always think of Ronaldo and you think about goals. And he had the chance to become the first player to score in X amount of tournaments, whatever it was. And he passed the ball instead. I was pretty impressed with that. And it's one of the reasons why he had so many people running on the pitch trying to get a selfie with him. Is it worth it? Is it worth running on the pitch, stopping the game, annoying the whole world watching, and then probably getting a stadium ban? How frustrating is that? And is there any player in the world where you think it's worth running on the pitch to get a selfie?
No, I don't think it's worth it, to be honest. Maybe Messi, but Cristiano, but not for me. It's not worth it.
No, it's not worth it. As a footballing fan, not being able to go to another game as well, it's entirely not worth it.
Yeah, it's so annoying to watch. That leaves Group F looking like this. Nina, can you walk us through the group, please?
Yes, so obviously I think this group in particular surprised many because no one anticipated for those first couple games to go the way that they kind of did. And Turkey, absolutely brilliant game, 3-1 against Georgia. I think stunners, as stunning as the goals do really get. Portugal obviously grabbed the 3 points against Czech Republic, but I don't think it was very convincing. Either way, it was enough. They built on that with a very convincing 3-0 win against Turkey. Obviously Georgia drew, as we just discussed, the game against Czech Republic. So that leaves obviously Czech Republic and Georgia with a point each at the bottom there. So top 2 will now play the bottom 2. So you see there that Georgia will face Portugal. Portugal obviously are winners already, but Georgia will be eager to win that game in order to have a chance to progress through. Czech Republic will face Turkey. I think that one perhaps might be a bit more interesting because it could really go either way. I think Turkey will want to build in a quite embarrassing scoreline there against Portugal. For
sure. I thought it was very weird that they didn't start Arda Güler yesterday. Obviously, the man that everybody was talking about match day 1 didn't even make the lineup for match day 2. Well, to conclude match day 2, Belgium took on Romania in the best smelling city in Germany, Cologne. It was an immense performance with little to criticise, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it was very strong from Belgium, as with Portugal. Obviously, they had that horrendous start to the tournament, but they came out and did what they had to do. Got a goal within, 1 minute 30. Lukaku, at some point, you may have to start feeling sorry for him this tournament. He's had 3 disallowed goals already in 2 games.
It's a Chelsea thing.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. And then De Bruyne was just key for Belgium as he is for City, and just dropped a De Bruyne style performance. And that was a lovely finish from him, but pretty shocking from Romania defensively, just allowing that one long ball to go entirely through their defense and for one touch finish from De Bruyne. So yeah, but well done from Belgium.
We heard from the match winner, Kevin De Bruyne, at full time, who was asked whether Pep Guardiola would be enjoying watching him and Jeremy Doku.
Jeremy Doku probably last season.
A lot. I think he started really well. Obviously, then he had a setback with the injury. He had a couple of tough times, but I think he ended the season really well. The dribble skills are frightening. So I think he had a really good first season at City, and there's many more to go.
Yeah, good effort towards. You must be pleased to see you and Jeremy playing like that for the national team.
No, I've not spoken to Pep. I think he's enjoying his holiday. He's probably at the beach playing some golf, enjoying his time.
In Boston, watching the Celtics.
Yeah, that's true. I know. We saw the coach at City.
I bet Pep Guardiola is enjoying his holiday. No tough title challenge against Mikel Arteta's tricky Reds just for now. That will resume in August. Was Kevin De Bruyne your man of the match yesterday?
Undoubtedly, yes.
I think we both agree on that. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing was De Bruyne also touched on the fact that this Belgium team isn't quite as good as the team that went to Russia 6 years ago.
That we had was 2018. That's for me. That's clear. That team was stacked from 1 till 25. But I think there's a lot of young guys who are able to grow to that level. I think there's a lot of guys who play maybe the first or the second time in this. So I think we're trying to get these guys to reach that level. You know, they're like 21, 22, 23. You know, like what I was a decade ago. So you know, but the potential to be great is there, but obviously it depends on them. We're trying to help them, and I hope they can do that, because you know, once we are done playing for Belgium, they have to take it over, and I hope they do a good job.
That Belgian team was stacked. Love that quote. Any of the Belgians that are currently playing in the squad that would make it into that team 6 years ago, in your opinion?
It's a difficult one, because I suppose, and I'm sure that Freddie would agree, you can make an argument for Jeremy Doku at the moment. But for me, that team was just insane, and there was so much quality in it. And obviously, there still are some of those big names that are currently playing in this tournament too. But it's so difficult when you look at some of the big names. And, you know, Jeremy Doku is obviously up and upcoming. I just think that there's a lot more to his technique that can improve. I think he's still, you know, yet to unleash his full potential. So it's a tricky one.
So yeah, I would say that Jeremy Doku could fit in there somewhere. It's not going to be hard to get him in on the left, because obviously Eden Hazard was there in pretty peak Eden Hazard, his peak era. Maybe as an Arsenal fan, I'd make a case for Leo Trossard to fit him in somewhere. But yeah, I think there's a couple that could potentially find a place in that 2018 team.
Have we got any comments coming in, Freddie?
Yes, we do. We have It's a Prideless say, I love the show. We love you. It's a Prideless. If you want to support the show, then scan the QR code in the top left and download SofaScore. It would be much appreciated. Then we have CR7 from Namibia. We've had Oliver, the Balloons Master, say, who do you think will win the Euros? What are the predictions here?
I'd pretty off the bat go Germany, but I also think Portugal have said themselves some favourites too.
Aaron, who's your one?
I've stuck with it from match day one. It's going to be Germany.
There we go. And then finally, Mohammed has said, who should be the next England manager? ? Graham Potter. So probably making the assumption that Southgate will either be resigning or getting the sack after this tournament.
Maybe we can have a bit of a Gareth Southgate chat a little bit later on in the show. We'll come back to England. Everyone wants to talk about England. I want to talk about England. But Freddie, can you take us through Group E? It looks pretty tight.
Yes, of course. So we have everyone on 3 points. Romania obviously getting that incredible 3-0 win on the opening game against Ukraine. Belgium losing to Slovakia, but then making up for it yesterday evening. And then Slovakia also on 3 points and Ukraine on 3 points. It's a pretty crazy group. And obviously in the Euros, it goes head to head. If they're all drawing at the end of the game week 3, match day 3, then the team, it will be decided based on the results between the teams, and then it will go to goal difference. So yeah, that's going to be a very interesting group to keep an eye on.
Oh, honestly, this is what international football is all about. You remember at the last World Cup, there was on the Germany-Spain group with Japan and Costa Rica.
Yeah,
love football, love international football. It's brilliant. But that was the end of match day 2 and 2 p.m. kickoffs. I'm not sure I'll ever be the same again. Today we see how Group A will finish. Let's talk about Scotland first. They have never qualified for the knockout stages of a Euro tournament. Let's have a look at Group A. SofaScore have helped us with this one. Germany top, Switzerland second, Scotland third, and Hungary are rock bottom. Freddie, what does Scotland need today?
Yeah, they need the 3 points against Hungary. That will take them to 4 points, and that will more than likely, when we looked at it yesterday, that will get you through as a third place qualifier into the knockouts at minimum. But yeah, they need a really, really strong performance here. Everyone to turn up and give the Tartan Army what they deserve for what they've given the players over this tournament so far.
Steve Clarke knows that tonight isn't just a big game; it's a massive game. We heard from him yesterday afternoon.
It's a sense of occasion to come out here and to be involved in, and for Scotland, their first major overseas tournament since 1998. 1998, I was still playing. That's a long time ago. So it's nice for them to be here, and I think you can see with the supporters that we've got out here, how much they're enjoying being here. I'm sure the people back in Scotland, the other 5 million that didn't manage to travel, I'm sure that they also are engrossed in the tournament and wishing as well.
So, Freddie, you're our resident Scotland expert. Have you been surprised not to see Lawrence Shankland in the team? He had a ridiculous season for Hearts.
Yeah.
I know that we've got his stats here. 47 games, 31 goals, 8 assists. Surely he gets in the lineup.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know whether he'll get in the lineup because Steve Clarke does love Che Adams and he has been working very hard for the team, Che Adams. But yeah, I would also love to see Lawrence Shankland get definitely more minutes for Scotland because he does add that goal threat. I mean, you see that 31 goals last season. The big chance conversion is also very, very good at 59%. And obviously a very good SofaScore rating. So yeah, it would be nice to see him play more and potentially just have a bit more of a threat than Che Adams has posed so far.
I'm just looking at that heat map right now. It's making me laugh. First of all, fair play to him. He's a striker. He's all over the pitch, even including his own penalty box. I'm assuming that's mainly from corners. But look how red it is around the centre circle. Hearts must have been conceding so often. He's taking kickoffs the whole time. You can say it's the Scottish League all you want, and it's probably a little bit easier to score. But strikers kick the ball back of the net. That's what you want. So Nina, do you think he deserves a start?
I definitely think, yes, he's proven that he does deserve a start. But I don't see how Clarke maybe doesn't go for Che Adams in this game, purely because we've seen from Hungary's previous games that they do give away possession. And I think someone like Adams with so much pace and energy to count and capture those counter attacks could be really useful. But again, I mean, the stats don't lie. Shankland has some really good numbers there to back up this idea for him to start. But I think it'll be interesting. Yeah.
Look, Steve Clarke knows this game isn't just about how Scotland perform, but how Hungary are too. He was quizzed on Hungary at yesterday's presser.
I think when you look at the record over the last few years, they've been building towards this. Good team, well organised, good coach, good discipline without the ball, and a good threat with the ball. Obviously some talented players. I'm not going to name them all. Hopefully we can stifle them and keep them in place. But we expect a difficult game, and I'm sure that the Hungarians are also expecting a difficult game from us. But I think two similar teams, two similar lineups, two similar systems, and hopefully our system is slightly better than their system.
Two similar teams. One thing that both teams have very much in similarity is they've both conceded 5 in 2 games. Kind of surprising from Hungary when they have such a football star, rock star centre back in Willy Orban. He's been immense over the last few years. Look at his stats for Leipzig. Since 2015. Obviously, the stats all here provided to us from SofaScore. Please do download the app by scanning the QR code in the top left. If you don't download SofaScore, then I just judge you personally. 310 matches for Leipzig, 3 trophies, 28 goals, 9 assists. He wins his duels, he clears the ball, and an average rating of 7.11. Nina, talk me through him and the Hungary defence.
Yes, I mean, as the graphic has shown there, he's served Leipzig now for a long time. He's really built chemistry as well with obviously the goalkeeper, which we'll talk about shortly. And I mean, one thing about him is that he's consistent, and that's one thing he's always been reliable with at the back. And I mean, it's hard to really back up how good you are as a centre-back once you've conceded 5. But of course, it's not entirely been down to him. I think he was let down by the midfield as well, sat in front of him. So there was a much bigger job for him to do. But, you look at those stats, and I think this is what Hungary are going to be counting on against Scotland today, to keep those goals out, hopefully reduce the deficit, not concede anymore, because it's not the greatest record to have. But you look at the veteran keeper that they have as well. I mean, Peter Gulacsi, he's just extended his contract as well, another 2 years. So he's old, he's 34, but he's still got game time in him, and we know that keepers can serve longer. But I think that partnership there at the back, it's really important to have a relationship with the centre back that's in front of you. So hopefully they might count on that to get them through the line against Scotland.
Freddie, you were out in Germany for Scotland's game on the first match day. For the sake of football folklore, you'd like to think if somebody's going to be the hero, it's going to be John McGinn. He's the man in the song. We ain't no Argentina, but we got John McGinn. What do you think of him?
Oh, I love him. I love the man. He's obviously a Scottish hero. These are his stats for Scotland since 2016. Matches played 68, goals 18, assists 10, shots per game 1.96, key passes 1.25. He really is the conductor in that team. And for me, the goals either come from Super John McGinn or McTominay. It doesn't really come from the striker most of the time for Scotland. So we'll be relying on one of them probably to get the goal. McToms has scored 8 in his last 10 competitive games, so I'll be looking out for those two.
Is this how you do it? I think this is his celebration. We heard from the man himself yesterday evening.
To you to qualify, to get out the group and to make their dreams come true?
That would mean everything, really. I think the way they've conducted themselves, don't know how they managed to do it with all the drink that they're consuming. But I think you see the messages from the local mayors, the police officers, the residents, that it makes you proud to be Scottish, really proud to have them supporting us. So they've done their part of the journey and the job, and it's up to us to send them home with more memories.
All the drink they're consuming. I'm sure he's talking about Iron Brew. Can we have your score predictions tonight for Scotland?
I'm going to go hopeful and say 3-1 Scotland.
Really? I would have gone Scotland too, but I'd say 2-1. I think it'll be a tighter game than that.
I think Scotland are going to lose. I'm really sorry.
No.
I'm so sorry.
John McGinn said that it would be a bigger deal from them qualifying with the Champions League with Aston Villa if Scotland were to get through.
I'd have to agree with that. I mean, it's history for a country.
Yeah.
Aston Villa have won the Champions League before.
It really would be what the Tartan Army deserve as well. They've had a great time out in Germany, and I've heard a lot from the German fans loving the Scottish fans. So yeah, it would be great to see.
And the team spirit is real there, isn't it?
Please do get your comments in because we will get back to them very soon. But at the same time as Scotland, Germany face Switzerland. It's the first time that these two have met at an international tournament since 1966. Just saying. Germany are through, but they haven't topped the group just yet. Nothing but perfection for the Germans. So Nagelsmann has implied that we will expect to see a very similar side. But would you switch it up yourself? Nina?
See, I think there's an argument for that. I mean, Germany are quite comfortable now, but they would argue that they still want to, really, really get over the line and win this group. So I think that they perhaps will make some changes, but not too many. You don't really want to chop and change something that has just started working. It's gained momentum. I think Germany probably out of all teams look like perhaps the best coached team at the moment as well. It's always difficult to transition from club to playing for your nation, but Germany have made it look pretty easy. So I think they might make some changes. We'll talk about it because I would like to see someone else for Kai Havertz, but
yeah, I agree. I think they'll make a few changes, but nothing too dramatic. Just if a player needs a rest, they'll give him less minutes, and they'll still go for the win. Of course, they will. They're Germany.
It is a lot of games. I mean, you're playing every 3-4 days. Obviously, Germany, you'd expect them to go quite far. So it's 7 games in the space of 3-4 weeks. As much as I love Kai Havertz, you'd think Fulkrug deserves a start. He scored a screamer on match day 1 against Scotland. And look at his stats for Dortmund. I was actually a little bit surprised by this. 43 matches, 15 goals, 11 assists. For the way that people seem to speak about him, you'd think he had an Erling Haaland type record. But he's just a nuisance. He's a proper old school number 9. He has 2 shots a game, gets his key passes in there. Harry Kane would be happy. Jules 1 is a little bit lower than you might expect from someone of his size, but an average rating, if you're in the green on SofaScore, you're doing something right. Would you like to see him play today, Nina?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for that stunner alone, I think we've seen some amazing goals at this tournament thus far, but his is pretty, high up there. And he also played in the Champions League final, and he was very close to bag a goal for himself there. I think he's got a lot to show. Like you said, as we can see there, he's coming off the back of a brilliant campaign at Borussia Dortmund. So I think he's got a thing up his sleeve he'd like to show. I want to see him play, yeah.
See, I don't think you can drop Kai Havertz. And Kai is a kind of player that when you drop him, he loses confidence, and he needs to keep playing, gain that momentum to take Germany all the way. I think keep Kai on.
I think I don't really know. I think because the Germans are already through, it's probably safe to rest some of the big boys. But Havertz is so good; he's so integral to how Arsenal play. Yeah, what were Chelsea thinking? The Germans will be going up against a familiar face today, Emmanuel Akanji, who spent 4 years in the Bundesliga with Borussia Dortmund. He was pretty immense for Borussia Dortmund. 158 matches in yellow and black. He scored 4 goals, but he's not a goal-scoring defender. He wins the majority of his duels. Do you think that his experience playing in Germany helps him play against the Germans today, Nina?
I definitely think so. I think familiarity is quite a big factor as well in football. When you know a certain, different leagues are different. When you've played in Germany, it's entirely different to the Premier League. And I think when you've learned a thing up or two, and he's got experience, he had quite the stay in Germany. A lot of the fans in the stands would have either been a fan of Akanji there as well. I think a lot of them will have, been happy to see a familiar face. I definitely think so, yes. But again, I'm not going to discount everything that he's done at Manchester City and why that's made him so great.
I'm glad you've mentioned Manchester City. The mathematician turned centre-back. Look how good he's been since coming to the Etihad. I feel like he doesn't get the credit he deserves. He's coming up on 100 matches for Pep Guardiola's super team that definitely do not cheat. 5 goals, 5 goals for them. He wins, a good amount of his duels. It's what you'd expect, what you like to see from a centre-back. Good amount of tackles, good amount of ball recoveries. The one thing that makes me a little bit concerned there is we always talk about how the Premier League is the best league in the world. His average rating is higher in playing in England than it was in Germany. Is that concerning for English football, Freddie?
No, I don't think so. I think the Premier League doesn't need to be too afraid of the Bundesliga. But it does also have to be said that when Akanji came from Dortmund, he wasn't really starting every game for them. It was quite a strange signing at the time. But obviously Man City identified something that suited their system and the way that he plays and to his abilities. So yeah, he's obviously been great for them since, and we'll see how he does going up against the Germans.
What are you expecting today, Nina? Score predictions, please.
Oh, I think Germany have got this one, even though, never discount Shaqiri for another screamer somewhere in that game. But I think Germany have really got this. And I think now they're building some momentum here. I'd want to say narrow, but I almost want to go for a 3-1 for Germany.
I'm going to go for a 1-0 for Germany. Nothing too incredible from them, but they'll get the job done.
Classic boring nonsense. Germany, the last team to win all 3 of their opening games at a major international tournament, and that was in 2006. Again, the tournament was in Germany. It's hard to win all your opening 3. I think it'll be a draw because I think Switzerland need it if they want to head through. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Freddie, are there any comments coming in? Any questions for us?
So I will quiz you again, Aaron, because Mohammed wants to know, who would you choose as the next England manager if you had to?
Okay,
give us a name.
This is a scenario where Gareth Southgate is gone. You look at all the managers that are available right now, and I am going to go for Maurizio Pochettino.
Oh, interesting.
I think that he did really, really, really well at Spurs. I think that Chelsea made a massive mistake in letting him go because, yes, Chelsea didn't hit their targets of what they really wanted last season, but they were. If the season had gone a bit longer, they would have. That's not how it works, but still, they started to turn it around. He has got a very good record of getting teams playing good, free-flowing, attacking football, which is the polar opposite to what people complain about Southgate. He's got a good relationship with Harry Kane and all those boys that have played for Spurs. Pochettino is my man. The only argument I'd go against that is I understand some people want an English manager being the manager of the national team. Yeah. Nina?
See, I lived in this ideal world where I wanted the special one to manage England one day. I just always thought it. Jose Mourinho, in case, Aaron, you haven't clocked onto here.
I figured what you're saying, but it's just, that's mesmerising. You want Mourinho as the England manager?
No.
After complaining how boring Southgate is. You are a disgrace.
It's the Chelsea speaking in me right now. If you've just said Maurizio Pochettino, it's still a grudge there I'm holding. But no, I completely understand that. I think with Pochettino, the thing is that he didn't quite manage to adapt when things went wrong. And I think that's one thing that as a manager you need to, especially with this England side. And I just think given the way that we played those first 2 games, and I look at what Maurizio Pochettino could possibly change in that, I don't think he answers the fans' desires pretty much in the next game.
I think you'd see Cole Palmer get in the team.
Cole Palmer gets in the team, absolutely.
Well, I think that kind of wraps that up. I would probably go Eddie Howe as an Englishman. I think he's had a great rise with Bournemouth, and then obviously doing a great job at Newcastle. And then we've also had a comment from Mohammed saying, hopefully Germany will win this Euro. No Palmer, no winning. So, that's an interesting one. And we have just had one more from Ben saying, what do you think of the Ben White situation? He was so excited last year, but now isn't. Do you think this is the result of Southgate's England squad? That's a tough one to answer.
It's a very
but
tough
we
question
were
because
discussing. Yeah.
nobody knows the whole situation except for probably Ben White and his team himself.
Mm.
Ben White, if we're talking about as a footballer, he obviously deserves to play for England. I think Gareth Southgate acknowledges that. He sort of referenced that in a previous conference. But yeah, realistically, he's not in the England squad. There's not much. He doesn't want to play for England at the moment.
Yeah,
as it seems, that's how it is.
Yeah,
as a player, he 100% gets.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see him in that defence for sure.
Let's look ahead to England because why not? The boys were in training yesterday afternoon.
That it was a real gamble taking Luke Shaw to this tournament and said he might not be able to play any game time. And remember, this is an expanded squad that England have got 26 players instead of the usual 23. So he had that little bit of luxury, and he does have cover at left back. Kieran Trippier has been playing there. Joe Gomez, who you can't see because he's behind all of those sprinklers, but trust me, he is there. Joe Gomez hasn't featured at all in this tournament yet, and yet he's been one of Liverpool's best and most versatile defenders for the entire season.
Now, as a big Southgate defender, I'm not going to like saying this, but the one thing you notice is no Luke Shaw. It's mental, Freddie.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, because now there's talk that Luke Shaw won't be able to play in this tournament. We don't know if that's 100% true, but if it is true, it's pretty crazy from Southgate to have taken him in the first place and left a proper left back like Tyreek Mitchell at home. So yeah, pretty disappointing to see that.
Nina.
Yeah, I agree with Freddie, and I think that's exactly what I praise Gareth Southgate for actually picking players on merit and what they did off the back of this Premier League season, and that goes against it. Picking Luke Shaw, we understood with Maguire, fair enough. I mean, if he'd taken injured Maguire in the plane as well, then we're having a different story. But it's a shame because Mitchell definitely deserved to be on that plane. A lot of people would argue. So I thought we could get through the group stages without Luke Shaw, fair enough. But moving forward, it could prove to be what decides whether we stay further in the tournament or we exit.
We heard from Jared Bowen, who spoke about how the boys are looking forward to Tuesday.
We're kind of in control of the destiny of the group, and every game that we play we want to win. It's not about trying to avoid teams. To be the best and to be winners, you have to beat the best. So for us it's wanting to win every game. So the game Tuesday, we go there wanting to win that game, of course. I don't think it would be ever in our mindset to say we're playing for a draw.
Yeah, absolutely. Under no circumstances can England go and say we're playing for a draw. Haven't yet topped the group because they didn't beat Denmark. But then you think back to the last Euros, it's a very, very similar situation. Won the first game, drew the second, you win the last, and on you go. Do you think we'll win on Tuesday?
I'd hope so.
Well, yeah, but do you think we will, or do you think we're going to play some really stale, boring football once again?
Look, I want to give Southgate here the benefit of the doubt and say that we're going to play some better football and that we'll actually go out there and grab a win, not hold on, not scrappy and holding on for dear life, an actual convincing win.
Well, I agree. I think we'll win, and also this is the kind of game with England being on 4 points, he can test those people that everyone is asking to see. Maybe you get to see Cole Palmer, Anthony Gordon. Maybe you get to see some of those guys get minutes. And if they perform well, then they can contribute in the knockouts more so. We have also had a comment from P saying it's not coming home, boys. So he does not fancy England's chances in this tournament. So yeah, that's an interesting one.
P, I'm not sure if I have the words for you. We did also hear from Jared Bowen about whether Danny Dyer is any help out in Germany.
We've seen Danny in the crowd giving you great support. Could you just talk about the support she gives you, and what is it? What does she tell you? Does she give you any instructions, or is it just a bit of love? And
yeah, no, I mean she's not telling me tactically what to do. She ain't got a clue. But no, Danny, my mum, my dad, my sister, my brother, my two mates have all been out here. And like I said, it's my first tournament, so for them to come and see me representing my country at a major tournament is for them probably the pinnacle.
I can't really picture Danny Dyer being much help to the England team. I think we should play 3-4-2-1 for the next match. I just don't see it. Do you think Wags and having everyone close to the squad is a good thing or an added distraction?
I think It depends really on the player, on the person. I think you could argue either or, but you know, it can be a distraction, but also having the support there. You know, we've seen multiple clips of you know, wives, girlfriends, mums, families reacting to, you know, their sons and husbands and whatever on the pitch. It's nice, but again, I think it's just really depends on the person. But we all remember when a time that it didn't quite go favour of the player.
Yeah, I think Southgate's also very big on family, right? He loves that kind of buzzword to call England a family, and so he I'm sure is very keen to have the wives, girlfriends, brothers, whatnot, parents out there supporting the players so that they feel at home and they can perform to their best.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's quickly touch on some transfer news that we've had today. Aston Villa involved everywhere. Douglas Luiz to Juventus looks like a done deal, and Ross Barkley to Aston Villa. Do you think that's a good replacement? Is it a like for like?
Well, interestingly, in the Douglas Luiz deal, Juve have sent them 2 players as well, valued at 22 million. So young guys that they're getting for Douglas Luiz, and then there's a fee from Aston Villa for 28 million. So it's one of those kind of cool transfer deals where you get a swap deal involved in it. Which kind of rarely happens, unless you're playing Football Manager or something. Yeah, but it's good to see it in real life. But yeah, also Ross Barkley's a handy piece of business at 5 million. He had a great season for Luton last year.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, Aston Villa are not wasting any time, are they, in this window? They've been busy already. I think Ross Barkley, like Freddie said, I think that's quite the signing. How much is it? 4 million?
Around
is that the deal?
Yeah,
5 million.
Like that, yeah.
I think that's a pretty good deal. With the Douglas Luiz one, I did raise an eyebrow at first because I thought, oh, you know, going to Juve and the 2 players that were initially, you know, in the deal, I didn't quite think it was fair. But clearly Aston Villa have some plans here that we're unaware of, and things are really going to be cooking for their Champions League campaign this season.
I was going to round up the show, but I believe we're getting quite a few comments in. So let's quickly touch on them and then we'll head off.
Yeah, so Ben Meyer has said, has the Euros performance from Nico Williams accelerated the interest of Arsenal and other clubs? He has played amazing, which is interesting because I've seen a clip of Nico Williams responding to this, saying he's just signed a new contract and he's pretty happy where he's at. But there is that around 58 million euro release clause in there, and I think it has definitely accelerated the interest of Premier League clubs right now.
For sure. I mean, he could fit into most teams, no, Nina?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, what he did to Di Lorenzo against Italy was quite damaging, I think, for the player. But again, there's a reason why all the top clubs in the Premier League are in for him. I think he's quite special. There's always a what if, though, when a player comes over to the Premier League, especially a winger that young. There is always question marks. But with what he's shown for Spain, I think he's going to be one of their key players this tournament. He's outstanding.
I mean, Ben's clearly talking about Arsenal there. Now, for me, I think what are Arsenal really looking for this summer? And in my head, they need a backup for Saka because that boy needs a rest.
Yes.
Yeah. And also Martinelli last season, he wasn't quite as good as he was the year before. So having a winger that could play on both sides would be pretty useful.
Yeah, for sure.
And obviously Nico Williams has been brilliant.
I'd love to see it for sure.
It would be great to see him at the carpet. That's all for today. We will see you once again tomorrow at 1 p.m. once we start to really understand a little bit more about how the knockout stages